It's the astounding thing, Natalie, about all animals out here, actually. So Natalie's question is, if a lion is very pregnant, will it affect her hunting ability? And the answer is not really. That's why the cubs are born as altricial as they are, as tiny as they are. Or one of the reasons why. Quite simply because it means that she can continue with her... Oh, Topi fight. Topi, don't fight while the lioness is walking. Sorry, she's straight ahead and the Topi fight happened right in front of the vehicle. Ah, they've run off now. There's some little ones. And some panicky mothers. So... it won't really affect the lioness's ability to hunt. She might be a little bit slower than normal. She might have slightly less stamina than she would otherwise have. It very much depends upon just how far along in the pregnancy she is. And it's with big cats, you actually only really notice the pregnancy right towards the end, as the lioness is getting ready to or reaches full term. Antelope as well. I always find it amazing that antelope are able to run away in the way that they are. Oh, little dashing... dashing Topi. It's all happening as evening descends here in the Mara. There's not just myself with animals doing interesting things. Let's go across to Tayla, who's got two hippos who don't seem to be too happy with each other.
They are indeed. It's something that we all absolutely love to watch, and we typically sit at Chitwa Dam for most of the afternoon and watch hippos play around, and that's what we've got, but not in South Africa. In Kenya, in the Mara River. It actually sounds like we're at the beach. The river is raging so much at the moment over the rocks, and these two youngsters are having the absolute time of their lives. Now, this is not a proper fight. It's just practicing, and probably find it's two young bulls. Oh, there's another one opening up and displaying, and they always do this at sunset, well, just as the sun is about to go down. They've been resting for most of the day, not doing anything, enjoying the rapids, peace and quiet, I'm sure. Maybe the odd cocktail in hand, who knows. And now they're getting ready to leave the water. And then there's some youngsters who have just joined in just to the left, just sitting quite close to mom. They've also just started pushing each other around and opening their mouths. It looked like mom that was doing that. And the other one's just submerged itself now. They looked a little bit younger than the ones we were just watching. So not an uncommon thing to see, and probably the most interesting. I always feel sad for guests when they come on safari and all they say is that we want to see hippos opening up their mouths, and funny enough, if you don't time it correctly during the day, you'll end up just seeing them sleeping on the banks of the river, and you can sit with them for 10 minutes and then you've pretty much seen it all. So first thing in the morning, and just as the sun is setting, it's the most exciting. And then, of course, to be able to see them out of the water at night too is pretty spectacular. Great to see how large they really are. There'll also be a lot of interaction, though, within this particular pod. You'll find that they'll greet one another as well. They've all been laying up on top of each other, and now they're going to play. Must be full of energy, though, if you think about it, if you've just been sleeping the whole day, ready and raring to go. Isn't this awesome? Oh, wow. Look at that. Look, with a big male. He just porpoised. That was incredible. See if he does it again. So then they also just did a bit of a call. He leapt out of the water, which is incredible, because when you see hippos, you think they're not athletic, they can't do anything, but they really can jump quite high out of the water and splash about when they want to. Now, Francis, all the way from Israel, you're wanting to know if hippos always come out of the water at night. They do indeed. They have to, unless there's grass growing right on the edge of the river, which they can munch on. Sometimes there is, but it's not necessarily the most palatable grass with the highest nutrients. So they have to travel further distances to find suitable for grazing. And I feel as though there's no shortage of grass, though, in the Mara. I don't think there's ever a shortage of grass. Look at this guy here. Hello. Actually looks like a female. She must have just been resting up on the bank down below us, and something gave her a bit of a fright. She came charging out, so you saw that, and that wasn't even her at full speed. Looks like a young male on the left. So there's clearly one dominant bull amongst this pod, and then there seem to be quite a few young males within this group as well, but they'll just sit very quietly, and they're the ones that will be pushing and shoving each other. The river is incredible. The way that it sounds really reminds me of being at the beach, being at the ocean. If I close my eyes, it doesn't smell like the ocean to me. Some of the guides say it does. I don't think so. But I just think of the waves and waking up early and going swimming. Although, not that you'll find me doing that often at the ocean. I'm petrified of sharks, even though I know there's more chance of me probably being struck by lightning than eaten by a shark, but I'm still scared, nonetheless. They haven't stopped, have they? All just having a great afternoon. And the light is just starting to change now too. There's a couple of clouds in the west, which is not unusual for the Mara. But the sun seems to just be catching, just peeping through those gaps now. Okay, right. Who is going to wake up next? Every time we go away, they pop us out of the water. One just leaped out of the water now. Now, Paulie, you're wondering how old is a hippo when it leaves its mum? Typically, you'll see mum with an older offspring and a youngster. So, I would say at about 2 years old, you'll find that they'll start moving away and doing their own thing, hanging around mum, but not relying on her 100%. Two to about 3 years old when she has her new calf, and then after that period, at about 4, 5. I think females become sexually mature around 4 or 5 years old, and a bull will typically only start mating maybe about 7, 8 years old, somewhere around there. So it takes them a bit of a while to mature. And it's not that they can't mate, you'll just find that they're just not big and strong enough to be able to go in and take on a territorial bull. But a very nice scene here. Now, I've come down to the Mara River because David told me this morning that there were lions around this area. So I'm looking for the Paradise Pride, but we might have to go a little bit further south to be able to find something. So I think that's exactly what we're going to do. Oh, but hang on, before that, look here. Look at the giraffe and the golden light. They're also coming down now. That is spectacular. Just because I was telling you about the beautiful golden light that's just dawned on us. Okay, well, we'll keep traveling along the Mara River, and hopefully if you find those lions. Tristan, however, is not sitting with a lion, but he's sitting with one of the most gorgeous young leopards I have ever laid eyes on.
Well, he is indeed. He's probably, well, for me, I suppose, one of the most beautiful leopards that I've also spent time around. He's a really good-looking fella, but you can also see he's a rather hot and tired fella too, so he's having a bit of a snooze now. There are a couple of cars that will be coming to join us just now, so maybe that might prompt him into waking up out of his slumber, but I think we're going to see this for a while. It's still quite steamy out here and quite warm, and so he's in a perfect place with a bit of shade. I would imagine that soil down there is quite cool because it's been in shade most of the day, and so he can have a really nice rest here before then going and getting water a little bit later towards the sort of sunset time. So it's going to be a patience game for us. We're going to have to just sit here and wait with him for a while, and then eventually he should get up and maybe move around. Riti, no, I don't think Thamba is marking territory just yet. I mean, if we're not seeing it from Hosanna, and we certainly, I don't think we'll be seeing it from Thamba for quite some time. Remember that he is 6 months younger than Hosanna, and at the moment, you know, Tingana is being quite polite to the two boys, and he's allowing them both to spend time here, even though they are no longer with their mothers. And so marking territory is a surefire way to get yourself booted away from the area and get yourself a bit of a hiding from dad. And so it's better just to stay nice and chilled and relaxed and under the radar, bulk up, get bigger, and then only start trying to compete a little bit later in life. And so for a while he's going to be, I think, still not scent marking. He'll only probably do it much later in life. The interesting thing, though, is while we talk about scent marking and young males and kind of competition and how that all works, I believe Quarantine and Tingana are having a big spat as we speak, not too far from us. They're on in Coral at the moment, and Tingana had a kill there, and Quarantine sounds like is trying to steal it from Tingana, which is a turn up for the books, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and who then gets pushed where, because at the end of the day, Quarantine is also bulked up a lot. He's quite a big guy, and he's at the end of the day finding Tingana in his territory. That's an area that Quarantine actively is patrolling, and so I'm going to be very interested to see how this plays out during the course of the afternoon. It's obviously blow by blow updates on the radio, so I'll be able to kind of keep us up to date as we go through the drive. But for the meantime, we're going to concentrate on Thamba. You can see he's pretty much straight below us, and yet he's still completely comfortable. You would think that a leopard would be a little bit more nervy of this big vehicle and voices straight above him, but you can see he is not at all worried by us. He's having a really good nap. Every now and then his eye opens. There's a little robber fly that is flying around there, and so he's having a thing where he kind of wakes up as the robber fly kind of comes through. Now, Paula, in terms of leopards sharing territory, no, not really. So you'll have a situation where you'll have overlapping territories to a degree in terms of the females. Sometimes they'll kind of overlap a little bit. If we look at a case in point is somebody like Tundi and Kuchava, or Tundi and Shadow, they busy overlapping a little bit. We're seeing Shadow and Tundi in the same places, and the same thing with Kuchava and Tundi, they're overlapping around Chitwa and Torchwood area. But at the end of the day, not really. They don't really want to overlap with anybody else. They want to share a territory. And in males, under no circumstance do they want to share with other males, because any other male is mating competition. It is dangerous for their offspring, and at the end of the day is also utilizing their food and water. And so males tend to be a lot more upset about another male being in their territory than females. Females tend to overlap a little bit more than what we see with the males. Although in saying that, this northern Sabi Sands area, and in fact the Sabi Sands in general, is a really interesting dynamic on leopard, because the density is so high. It means that you've got a situation where a number of males are overlapping with one another. They are finding a lot of competition in the area, and ultimately they're trying to extend their territories as much as possible, but still bumping into each other. So if you think about just this northern sector, just male leopards in a sort of 10,000 hectare block, which is 20,000 acres, it's very small. If you think that the leopards in the Kalahari area, some of those leopards will have almost 200,000 acres as a territory, a single male leopard. Now you come into this area, and in that 10,000 hectares or 20,000 acres, you have Thamba, Hosana, Djuma, this unknown male in Buffel's Hook. You've got Mvula, Tingana, Quarantine, Anderson, and so there is a lot of young males that are around, or males in general around. There's also Shavambalan on the outskirts, if you think about that too. So there's a number of youngsters and older leopards, and they're all sharing a very small area. So you're having a situation where it's quite tough for these guys, and it's going to be interesting to see how the dynamics play out. What is really surprised, we might see him just put his head up and have a little look around and see what's going on. So he's just a curious cat. He always has been. I see he's got a little nick on his nose, so he's obviously had a little scrap with somebody and got a little sort of cut on his nose there, which is to be expected of a male leopard. His perfect kind of coat is slowly but surely starting to get little scratches and marks, which is pretty much par for the course, and you'll get a number of those as life goes on. I wonder if maybe that wasn't from the multitude of multiple leopard sightings that he's been seen in. So he's been seen around Hosana, he's been seen around Tundi, obviously, his mum, he's been seen around Tingana, he's been seen around Kuchava, and so he's got a number of kind of different leopards that he spent time around, and I wouldn't be surprised one of them just swatted a little bit at him and gave him a little cut on his nose. It's not bad though, it was just superficial, and he'll be absolutely fine. So he's going to be But look at those eyes, isn't he beautiful? And you can see he's just watching the new people that arrived. Of course, he's got to inspect everybody and make sure that he analyzes everyone so that they're not in any way a problem. Right, now, while we kind of watch Thamba gazing around and checking out his environment, and he's up and moving, so maybe he's going to walk towards the waterhole. But while he's moving, I believe Jamie's lions are also on the move, so let's go across to her.
Amazing thing, I've never seen this before. Our lioness has just picked up an ostrich egg off the ground. Now, typically the nests are guarded, so there's a good chance that this is actually an abandoned ostrich egg, or one that was never destined to make it. But still, this is really quite incredible. She's wandering off with her mouth. She looks like a Labrador with about 5 tennis balls. Her mouth is so stuffed full of ostrich egg. This is really cool. You don't often get to see this. I would suspect that if this ostrich egg came from an active nest, you would see either the male or the female around, and they'd be very distressed and very upset, and I don't see any sign of that. So that's even better, because it means we're getting to enjoy this sighting without the fact that an ostrich has lost its egg. I think that egg was lost already. Let's catch up with her, because I want to be there when she breaks it. Ostrich eggs are really hard, obviously. And water is wet. No, what I mean by that is the shell is hard enough to support the weight of a human standing on it. I stood on one when I was a child because I didn't believe the guy when he told it to me. And it does. Ah, she's going to go into this rocky area. I could just sense it. I do want to see where she goes, though, and I really want to see when she cracks the egg. We must make sure as soon as she stops, we've got our ambient mic right up. Paula, you say breakfast for dinner. Best kind of dinner. Everybody loves breakfast for dinner. Actually, I could do with that tonight. An egg. Stop quickly, but we're in really big trouble now. Really big trouble. Jamie has taken the worst possible route into a rocky outcrop, so we're just going to look at her quickly, and then I'm going to have to go around somehow. Okay, let's go. How am I going to do this? I think I'm going to have to go around that way. Whoops. Ah, yes, there we go. Ferg has found a way. I was going to go around the other way, but I think Ferg's way is infinitely better. Hold on, though, because the rocks might be hidden in the grass. Looks clear. There's a rock. There's a rock. Wait, Lioness, wait! Don't eat your breakfast without me. Oh! I can't go too fast or I'll smash a diff on the rocks. Oh, here's some major big rocks. Just hold on. This is gonna be fun. Hold on, everybody. I'm gonna hit my tow bar is gonna hit it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, there it is. Uh-oh. No! Great, thanks, Vix. Sure, you say all the lioness needs is a warthog, but she can have bacon and eggs. Sorry, Keto. Absolutely. There we go. Yes, thanks, Ferg. That was almost a disaster as I planted our difflock on a rock. Where is she? Oh, there she is. Oh, no, she's dropped her egg. Ah. Oh. I wonder if it was rotten. A bit further, got you. Ah, I see. I'm gonna go past this car and then we can stop. She's coming. She'll come. It'll be worth it. I can't believe you left your egg. Why'd you leave your eggie? Oh, no. You're going to come right across in front of us. Oh, hold on. Beautiful. What we're aiming for is her walking straight in front of the sun. Being watched by a pair of buffalo, actually, as well. Nice. So pretty. I wonder why she didn't eat that egg. It obviously wasn't very good. Because she definitely didn't eat it in the time that we spent with her. Or weren't spending with her, that is. Here she goes golden. Out here in the Mara, it's not just every cloud that has a silver lining. The lions have them as well. I know you, Lioness. Of course, evening, no matter where you are, whether you are in South Africa or in the Masai Mara, is always gorgeous, and nothing looks more beautiful than a big cat in golden light.
Indeed, Jamie, and Thamba's putting on a real show. He's starting to walk around nicely, and there's this golden afternoon sunshine that's coming through, and he can't really make up his mind as to where he wants to go. He's gone kind of up and down and round and back, and then now we're slowly kind of settling down again. It almost looks like he's stopped and is just watching, and hopefully he is going to come out and up towards the dam wall side, because the light on the dam wall is absolutely perfect, and it should be wonderful if he heads that way. We should be in for an absolute treat if he does. But isn't he just the most beautiful cat? He really is quite full as well. He's, I think, struggling a little bit with this story and having to kind of deal with this big belly on a hot day. It seems as though he's watching something now. There were some waterbuck that were around, and you can see he's gotten quite low now. It's almost like he's into a sort of stalk mode. So he's kind of got his head down and just watching, trying to keep his profile as low as possible and trying to just stay out of view. But it looks like he's going to settle down maybe there and lie down again. Oh, there we go. It just took a while to figure out exactly where we wanted to lie. So not onto the dam wall just yet. Maybe he's worked out still a little on the warm side to be heading down there and to be kind of getting into a position where he's in the sun. So we might just have to wait a little bit longer. But at least he's moved out of that very steep drainage. It makes it a lot easier for us, that's for sure, to view him. And we don't feel as though we're right on top of him, which is a lot more comfortable for, I think, everybody involved. But you can see he's definitely panting a bit, and he hasn't really exerted much energy. He just took a short stroll, but he's built up quite a bit of heat, and also that food is pushing up on the lungs, so much shorter breath. Sky Doogie is wondering if he gets an occasional meal from Mom. Well, Sky Doogie, I don't think so. I think, unfortunately for him, no meals from Mom anymore. I think he's in a situation where he's all on his own these days. He's going to have to fend for himself. The fact that she's pregnant is going to mean that she's not going to be feeding him. I don't think she's going to be trying to find food for him anymore. I think that relationship, unfortunately, has now been severed, and he's now going to live life as a loning male. Now, you can see he's walking right past the car. He doesn't really care too much. I'm going to roll forward so that we can get a better view of him, and I don't have to kind of look at the cars, and so we just don't even have to turn the vehicle on. It's the nice part about being on a very steep slope, is that I can just roll a little bit. Now hopefully he settles somewhere there, because it's going to be beautiful up there, and that late afternoon light is absolutely wonderful. So maybe what I'll try and do, now hopefully these guys are not going to block me, which they're not. So that's pretty good. There's unfortunately a really nice big marsh here, and so I can't really cross that, because otherwise I'm going to have a situation where I might get stuck. But what I want to try is to go from this side over here and just see if we can't get a better view from a little lower down. It's going to be a bit bumpy, sorry Vildi. A little on the bumpy side and a little bit on the mushy muddy side too. But let's see, we might be able to get through. No, is he moving again? Can you see better, Vildi, or no? Don't have visual. No, I think he's moving again. So I was hoping that we'd be able to see from here, but it seems as though he's gone down. Sorry, Liam. Got to cover you in a bit of mud, as Tayla said. You're not a guide unless you're in a bit of mud. So we're going to try and just... There we go. That's better. There his head is, and so if I just go up here, we should get a better view. And so while I reposition myself and while I work out how I'm going to go and do all of this, I believe Tayla McCurdy has also got a incredibly beautiful view of the afternoon sunset, and so hopefully it will be very pretty.
Right, we've been, well, most afternoons we've had so far have been very, very clouded days, and I mentioned to you that we had a little break, a little gap in the clouds, and it has allowed for us to show you the most magnificent sunset, though it's gone down exceptionally quickly. Feels like it was about 10 seconds ago. You could see the entire sun. Now it's just dropping down below the horizon. So I challenge everyone today, Jamie, Tristan, to show off your best sunset view, and I hope you got some screenshots. Share them with all of us and tell us which one was your favorite. You can do that by hashtagging a Safari Live. So before we went across to the river, no, car please work. Car's been giving me some serious hassles today. I think it's about to die, but anyways, we'll make it through. So let me try this a third time. Before we went down to the river, I did see some cars gathering just off to the right of where we're going now, and I think that it could have been a young male and a female lion that we saw mating a couple of afternoons ago. I wonder if they just haven't been hanging around the same area. So we're going to go and have a look and see if we can find them. I just hope now that I haven't left it too late. I also cannot see now from the sun. Everything is just going to have to keep one eye open on the road. So it'd be difficult spotting animals. Jackals are just starting to wake up too. We'll see if we can show you the jackals in a minute. Just going to have a quick look around. There's an abundance of game though. Lots of Topi, lots of Thompson's gazelles, plenty buffalo about too, and a few impala. So if there aren't big cats here, they could have just been looking at something else too. It might be worthwhile that we actually just sit here for a little bit and see if they get up to something. Okay, so it looked like it was down around this tree up ahead. I'm just going to keep an eye, because I don't know which side of the road they were looking. If they were looking to the left-hand side or they're looking to the right. And this is pockets of really, really long grass, which does make it difficult to see anything. Just check here. We're getting to that point now as well where the light becomes really deceiving. I haven't seen anything yet. Oh, I wonder where they are. Okay, well, we keep searching around here, and hopefully we will find some lions or a leopard, or who knows what we're going to find in this long grass. Jamie, however, is all set up for her sunset shot.
I have indeed, Tayla. We've heard about your challenge, and we've decided to present you with this as our submission. A buffalo's backside, yes, I know. Well, it was a lot more dramatic when its head was up, admittedly. Now, if I were a cheat, I would tap the side of the car, but I'm not a cheat, and that would... Oh! Thanks, Buffalo. Thanks a lot. So there we go, that's the submission of our sunset shot. Those of you who were really quick might have caught it as it was standing up. Now we've got silhouettes of ears. Fine, I'll just move on, shall I? Ooh, nice Ferg. Glowy buffalo. Oh. not Chloe. Chloe the buffalo bull. I'm very sorry if we have any viewers out there named Chloe. That was... Jared in final control, back on Djuma. He says that it looks as though the grass is on fire. It does, doesn't it? Another spectacular Mara sunset. Not that we haven't had many average sunsets, let's be honest. We've been presented with some really special ones recently. It was a lot more special when you were standing up, Mr. Buffalo. I feel as though you're on Taylor's side in this. You sabotaged me. Tisk. I was about to say let's enjoy the silence for a little bit, and then I realized there are two vehicles that are about to come rushing past. So let's not do that. Okay. While these cars go past us and our buffaloes slumber on, let us head back to South Africa so that, of course, Tristan can also have a chance to participate.
Well, here's my submission to the sunset competition. And that's actually a rhyme. I didn't even know about that. But anyway, we got Thamba. It's still a little early for our sunset, but we'll put it in anyway because the girls are pushing and they're saying they want it. But there's our sun slowly setting behind a leopard. And, well, I like red sunsets and I like clouds in sunsets. There is very few things in this world that is better than a leopard with the sun setting behind it. And so Wiem reckons that ours wins hands down. He says it's not even a competition, and I tend to agree with Wiem. It is absolutely beautiful, and that sort of little gold rim that is kind of highlighting Thamba and his whiskers and his ears and his sort of body is just absolutely perfect. So such a special way to see a leopard, and the more that sun is coming down, the better it's going to get, and the more sort of colors we're going to see, and the more it's just going to probably blow our minds away. So I'm super happy that we are in the position we're in, and hopefully he stays exactly where he is. So Lily, who's 3 years old, hello Lily, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. And you say, oh, hello Thamba. So you are obviously familiar with our leopards, and do you think, Lily, I want to ask you actually, we're going to get your expert opinion, and I want to know what you think about Thamba. If you give me one word to describe Thamba, everybody else can compete and partake in our little one-word tweet for Thamba, but I want to know, Lily, what you think about Thamba. Do you think he's pretty? Do you like him? What do you think? And so you can let me know on #Safari Live how you feel about Thamba and what seeing him makes you feel. Okay, so that's what I want to see. But he is a beautiful cat, and I'm super happy that we get to spend time with him. He's just the most wonderful individual. He's become so much more relaxed. I remember when he was a cub, he was a nightmare to keep up with. He used to run around all over the place. Now, look at that. He's posing in the golden sunshine, and it doesn't really get much better than that. If you think about seeing leopards and seeing cats in general, big cats out in Africa, being eye level with the sun setting behind is one of those things that I think everybody has on their bucket list. Well, everybody that's watching this show more than likely has on their bucket list at some point. So we're being absolutely spoiled by Thamba, and those eyes as well. He's just got the most magnificent eyes. And you know, after seeing Mvula the other day, they're so similar in terms of their eyes and their looks. And he's got the same kind of shape head as Mvula, big ears, and those lighter kind of eyes. Mvula's are a lot more blue tinged than what Thamba's are. Thamba's take on them a lot more green, but still very similar in the way that they look. But isn't that just so beautiful? He's watching a few waterbuck. That's what he's busy staring at over on the top of the dam wall towards the lodge. There's also our Egyptian goose that is flying around, and so I think he's just loving the fact that he can sit right out in the open. There's a bit of a breeze blowing. You can see the grass just moving slightly, and there's shade as well. So it's just a perfect place for a young leopard to spend time. Well, I think so anyway. He's absolutely wonderful. So, take care. You're asking when a leopard scent marks. Now, I think you said that can they tell how long it was ago or how much time has passed? Is that right, Megan? Did I get that right, or did I miss it? So I would imagine so, yes. I would imagine that they are sensitive enough to know that there is a fresh scent or a not so fresh scent. I think they'd also be sensitive enough, if they're sensitive enough to know that it's a male, female, if she's in estrus, if it's young male or dominant male. If they're sensitive enough to that, they'll be definitely sensitive enough to know how fresh that scent is. So I'm pretty sure they can work out whether it's something that they can find right there or if it's something that's a little bit older. If you looked at Tingana's behavior a few days ago when he was around and we found then Mvula in the afternoon, Tingana was back and forth and striding all over the place, and you could see he was visibly agitated by what was going on. And so I think it was a situation where he realized that there was definitely a leopard around, a male leopard around, and he wasn't 100% sure which male leopard it was, but he knew that there was a leopard around, and so he kind of had a situation where he was trying to find exactly who it was. He knew it was a male, and he was up and down, and he unfortunately must have lost the scent due to the fact that there was a bit of rain around, and it was a cold, windy day, which would have stirred that scent up. But he definitely became more and more interested. The more he walked towards where Mvula was eventually found in the afternoon, the more kind of hyped up he got, and the more he was up and down and really actively trying to find it. So I think, yes, they know how fresh it is. They know whether it's something they need to worry about or if it's something that's been a few days before. So it's obviously one of those situations that there is some sort of perception. I don't think they can tell minutes and hours, but it's definitely whether or not it's something they should pursue or not. But look at those orange colors that are slowly starting to come through behind them. It's almost a magical scene as the sun is filtering through those leaves. So Lily, you say exactly how I feel as well. You say that Thamba is so handsome and that you absolutely love him. Well, I'm glad that you do, Lily. He's my favorite cat, and he is handsome, isn't he? He's a very beautiful leopard, and I also really love him too. So it's a wonderful cat to see, and I'm glad that you like him, and I'm glad hopefully that it's been an exciting part of your day that you see him and that you really are happy to see our spotted friend. But I think it's just going to get better and better, actually. This sighting, if he just stays there for 15 more minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, that should become absolutely bright orange behind him, and we should get the most deep, rich colors kind of coming out, and then him just sort of backdropping, or in the foreground of that backdrop. So it's going to be wonderful and worth sitting exactly where we are. I don't think it's any reason for us to change where we are or move or in any way, and so hopefully we're going to get a really special treat with Thamba. But like I say, you can see the fingers of light now breaking through all of those branches and leaves, and it really will be special once that sun just gets a little on the lower side. Mrs. Zero, you're asking why is a leopard not evolved into a family unit or a pride or a herd? Would that not stand better chance for them to survive? Well, if you think that leopards are probably the most prolific of big cats currently, and they're surviving in more areas than any other of the big cats, they are occurring in mountains, riverbeds, savannas, near coastlines, in any sort of type of terrain you can think of is a leopard. And so they are incredibly successful as it is, and also there has to be different sort of parts of the ecosystem. You can't have everybody being in a pride, everybody being together, because ultimately it would make life very difficult. They'd also have to probably be the size of lions to be able to pull down enough food for everybody and to have that physicality. The way that they are is perfectly evolved to survive the way that they need to be. So they're silent predators, they're on their own. If there was more of them, there's more risk that they're going to flush things in thickets, and so being on their own is far better. They also camouflage incredibly well, and so the spotted pattern and kind of the way that they are helps with that. And so to be sort of by themselves just works much better in the environments that they like to thrive in. And if we had a situation where we put them in prides, you probably find they wouldn't be as successful. They would require different ecosystems. They would then fill a niche that is filled already by coalitions of cheetah or prides of lions, and it would make it a lot harder for them to really move around. They would be in direct competition with a cat that's much bigger, whereas now they've got their own little niche and their own way of doing things, and they are incredibly successful at it. So being on their own actually works for these guys far better than being in groups and together with others. So the lily is just beautiful. The only thing that would have made this better is had there been absolutely no grass and no stump on the bottom left to hide his paw. But other than that, it really is the best sighting that we could have asked for from Thamba. I mean, he could have gone onto the dam wall itself and we could have had the orange light, but I think it's just wonderful the way he is, and I'm certainly happy that he went and lay there and didn't stay where he was just now, which was a lot thicker and denser. But he is grooming himself, which typically means that he's probably not going to be there for much longer. I would imagine that he's probably going to move a little bit at some stage, and so we'll probably see him. If he starts to yawn, then we'll know for sure that he is going to come down and start heading somewhere else. And what I'm hoping is he's going to cross, there's a little gully in front of him, and then it comes down onto a shelf and into an area that's a lot more open. And if he comes into that area, then we are absolutely smiling, and he'll be absolutely perfectly placed for for our sunset and for us in general, because he'll be right out in the open. You can see the shelf is a lot more open than where he's lying at the moment. Oh, just having a little look around. Isn't that beautiful? Look at those eyes and that face. And his nose, you can see, is still very pink. It is darkened a little bit over the last few months, but it is still very pink in comparison to some of the other leopards we see out of here. And a lot of people will often think that that's a sign of age. It's not actually necessarily true. It's a situation that you'll find that some will have more pink noses than others. If you look at Shadow, who's 11 years old, hers is still pink, and so it's a genetic thing as well. Now, I can hear a barking sound coming from the south of us, so I wonder if maybe there's not another leopard lurking around. There's definitely a nyala or a bushbuck barking south of Chitwa Lodge and away from where we are. So I wonder if maybe, just maybe, we have a situation where another leopard might make its way into this area. That would be quite special. So we'll keep an eye out, and while we do that, I believe Jamie is bumbling about the beautiful Mara, and I wonder if she's got her IR light out and whether the sun is completely set, but I'm sure whatever she's doing, it will be magical.
Now, as we make our way towards wherever Scarface has been hiding, I hear that we have a question from 5-year-old Tucker. Now, Tucker, I hope you're still watching, and I hope that you get to hear your question being answered. So Tucker would like to know, and we've got to go back in time to the sighting that we had with the crowned cranes. Tucker would like to know if the crown of the crowned crane is fur. So what we'll do is we'll quickly have a look at the bird we were looking at, in case any viewers have jumped on board. It is a beautiful drawing of a crowned crane, and as you can see, it has a distinctive crown and face pattern. Now, Tucker, you're wondering about this part of the crowned crane, and you're wondering if that is fur. It's not fur, it's feathers. So the amazing thing about birds is that they have different types of feathers, and some are very long and very sleek and very, very strong, and those would be feathers that they use for flying. But they have different types of feathers, just like maybe you have friends with a cat or a dog, or perhaps you've had a cat or a dog. You know how they've got very, very soft fur around their ears, and then they've got slightly rougher fur around their back, and then they've got whiskers. Birds have different types of feathers, and in this particular case, these feathers are very fluffy and very soft. So it's almost like the down, or the feathers that are underneath the feather, the larger feathers. It's very, very fluffy and very, very colorful. And you'll also find that it'll be quite sensitive, because there will be lots of nerves around the base, so they'll be able to feel with that crown. So there you go, Tucker. It's not fur, it's type of feathers that are almost like fur. Now, when you look at a bird, you see the sort of the sleek feathers on the outside. But underneath this, they've got layers. Oopsie, that's a map. They've got layers of feathers. So when you go outside and it's really cold and you put a vest on, so they've got layers of feathers there that help to keep them warm. Fluffy, fluffy, fluffy feathers. And then over the top of that are the pretty feathers that we see on the outside. And the feathers on the top of its head are very similar to that. So there you go, Tucker. Thank you for sending through your question. I hope you enjoyed your safari. Keep watching, and I look forward to hearing your name again. Okay. Onwards to Scar, who's under that tree, which I found is a pretty standard method of directing people to places. So I'm going to, I really thought, because I saw Tayla up ahead of me, I really thought she was going to find Scar before I did, but she's gone on, which makes me worry that he's moved off. But I'm going to go search. Let's go and find out where Tayla's bumbling off to.
Well, maybe not, Jamie. I'm now wondering if those vehicles that we saw earlier were looking at Scar, but we went around there, even off-roaded a little bit. I couldn't see anything, but it is a particularly difficult spot because the grass is so long, and now it's a horrible time of the day just for my eyes because it's not quite dark enough to use the spotlight yet, but also my eyes are starting to play tricks on me. Oh my goodness. Are we okay? Has everything come loose? Ah. My goodness. So basically what's happened right now is Jahawi's entire camera has rattled loose and he cannot move the camera at all because the part that he holds on to has fallen off. I'm so sorry. And this will take, basically we'll have to dismantle the entire camera, including the infrared lights and everything, to be able to fix this. So funny. Okay, I'm literally just watching Jahawi. He's just got bits of camera just like this. Anyways, okay, I'm going to send you back across to Tristan now while we get all the nuts and bolts tightened.
Well, I would imagine you would need to get nuts and bolts tightened if you would want to carry on your safari, Tayla, but I'm sure that must have made Tayla giggle quite a bit. Thamba is still sitting in the same place. He's keeping his pose for our sunset. What I might do, VM, is just go back slightly for you, although I see the spike thorn is getting in the way on the right-hand side, just to line up the sun with his face. But that's the spike thorn, the green plant on the right, that VM's showing you. And so it's a little bit in the way if I go back for VM, so I actually might just stay where I am. The funny thing is that little spike thorn is going to block our perfect sunset, because if I go back just a little bit, then the sun will set right behind his head. So he's not looking the most elegant that he's ever looked, with his tongue out the way he is. And I wonder why cats do this. They do it regularly. We saw Asana doing it the other day when he was quite hot, and his tongue hanging out like that as he panted away. And I know the theory behind it and why, but it just seems completely ridiculous when they've got their tongues hanging out. They almost look a little simple when they do that. And you can see there's a little fly on his nose as well, which I'm sure will irritate him a little bit. You might find him just shake his head a little bit to get rid of that fly at some point. But put your tongue away. You don't look the smartest when you have your tongue out. Cats will be cats though, and you see it in domestic cats as well. They also do the same thing when they're sleeping. Now, I don't know how much longer he's going to be awake for. He's starting to really kind of bob his head and get to that tired kind of phase where he might just flop down. But there's our sunset is starting to get just better and better. Oh, and the yawn at sunset. Oh, I was hoping he was going to throw his head back a little bit further. Maybe he will. Maybe he's going to do it for us. But I definitely think our submission for sunset is as good as any submission could possibly be. I don't really know how much better to make a sunset than what we've got right there. Like I said, there might have been one or two little things, but it is as spectacular as possible. Now, Megan, who's got the best attitude, votes Team Thamba, and so we'll go with Megan as well. I'm a Team Thamba man as well. We know VM is too, and he's busy watching a waterbuck that's actually crossing the dam wall at the moment. So there's a waterbuck that is walking slowly across the dam wall, and that's why Thamba is looking so intently as the waterbuck comes across from Chitwa Lodge. There it is. So that is directly across from where Thamba is, and that waterbuck probably has no idea that Thamba is even here. He's got a very good idea that the waterbuck is there because it's right out in the open, and if he sees a baby waterbuck in amongst that, you might find that his reaction will be slightly different. But there we go. Look how he's watching. There's a lot more intent in his eyes now than what he was showing 2 seconds ago with a tongue out and eyes closed. He looks a lot more focused and a lot more like a leopard and less like a Topi character. Oh, but that is just absolutely perfect. Look at the light behind him. It's gold, gold, gold. Riti, no, I don't think the green in his eyes helps with better night vision. At the end of the day, you'll find that all of these leopards have very good night vision. Now look, you see he's changed his position. Oh, and it's actually even better for us. His paws are out now. His head's a little bit behind the grass, but paws out. But at the end of the day, all leopards have to survive and have to move around out here and be effective in the night. And so whether their eyes are brown, yellow, green, blue, whatever the color may be, they've all got to work in the same way, and they've all got to be able to see at night. And so no, I don't think eyes are better color, or green is a better color, because then leopards would have evolved with all of them to have green eyes. I think it's more about the cells that are in those eyes, and so you find he's got more rods than cones, and the same as any other leopard, they'll have a high percentage of rods, which allows them to see much better at night than during the day, or to see color like we see during the day. But I think that waterbuck's onto something. The waterbuck is just stopped and looking at all of us. And, oh, look at that. How nice is that? Orange, orange, orange backdrop to a beautiful young male leopard. It is absolutely perfect. Now we just need him to do a nice big yawn for us in that orange light, and I think we've absolutely nailed it. The thing is with that waterbuck is far too big for him, so there's no ways that he can really go after that waterbuck. I mean, even though he's a developing young man and he's getting much bigger and much stronger and more powerful. Thomas, you were wondering about this as well, but he's just not going to be powerful enough just yet for something of that size. Also, he doesn't have the technique just yet. At the end of the day, he's still learning. He's a young leopard. He's only just started hunting for himself, and so that's a bit more than he can probably chew going after something like that. And so he's going to have a situation where he's going to have to just learn a little bit and start honing and sharpening his teeth and claws, so to speak, on smaller animals like impalas and duikers and steenbok and scrub hares and those kind of things, and eventually in time he can then graduate to waterbuck, and he can be like his dad, who is an effective waterbuck hunter. I've seen Tingana and Mbula, actually, depending on which one it is. It could be any of them, or Quarantine even could be his dad. I doubt it, but it's possible. And you might find a situation that any one of those would go after waterbuck. Well, I've seen all of them go after waterbuck before, and so at the end of the day he will go after those things later in life, but it's probably a little on the big side for him at this stage of the game. Oof, look at that. See how he's watching the waterbuck? He's watching the waterbuck run away now because there's a vehicle crossing the dam wall, and so the waterbuck is trotting back towards the lodge itself, and that's why he's watching with eyes so intently. Wow, that is absolutely stunning. Spoilt is what we are being by this sighting, that is for sure. It is not in any way disappointed, and he never does, to be honest. He's a curious cat and constantly seems like he's up to something. I was saying to Wiem when we were off air, because obviously Wiem is in Kenya and hasn't spent nearly as much time with Thamba as maybe Sebastian or Senzo or the guys that have been here for quite a long time during the sort of Mara season. And I was saying to him, the one thing I love about Thamba is that it's very seldom that he sleeps for long periods of time. He tends to watch things, he looks at things, he generally gives you something all the time. And so I like spending time with him for that reason. He's not a cat that tends to sleep all the time. He often has his eyes open and watching and looking at the birds that fly over, looking at the insects, listening. He likes to take in his environment. He's often actually quite even interactive with us. He often stares at us, as like when we found him, he was looking up at us with these big eyes, just kind of watching and taking it easy and really looking. So he's a great cat to spend a lot of time with, and I really enjoy every sighting I have with him, not only because he's a spectacular looking individual, but because he does have a bit of character to him, and he tends to always be up to something. And Hosanna is also very similar in that regard. Hosanna also gets up to a lot, but I see Hosanna starting to edge into more the bad ways of the older male leopards. Oh, there's a very brave dove that just flew over his head, edging more into the ways of the older males and getting a lot more kind of stationary and sleepy as the days are going on, and he's getting a little older. Sorry, Wiem. So I'm sorry about that. I just took my foot off the brake and it just lurched forward a little bit. I do apologize. Look at that. Those eyes are just magnificent. Can you imagine when he's a fully grown 7-8-year-old male, what he's going to look like? He's going to be bulky, he's going to be big, and I think with a few more scars, he's going to be one of those leopards that's really going to stand out as an incredibly looking individual, or incredible looking individual, should I say. Sun is getting to the right color now. It's that more orange coloration, and there's kind of really a little fireball in the sky, and as we go back out, you can see it's almost down. I don't think we're going to get too much more light, unfortunately. I think it's going to get to a situation where it's probably going to fade away fairly soon, and maybe that yawning is a sign that he's going to get up and start moving. I think it might be a situation where he might come out a little bit, and like I say, hopefully he'll come and sit. There's a little ledge here, and if he can sit there for us, that's just going to be the most spectacular place for him to go. I think the flies are also a bit irritating him a bit, and you can see ears are twitching, face is twitching, a bit of a yawn. So it seems like he's almost at that point where he might decide to move a little bit and head in a different direction. Hopefully it's, like I say, up towards the dam wall, because it will be beautiful up there if he does head that way. What are you biting? Right, now while Thamba, oh there we go, now he's up and moving, and so let's see if he's going to come straight towards us. Looks like he might, It seems as though he's going to come and say hello. Hello, boy. Are you going to come and be friends with us? Are you going to come and introduce yourself to VM? There we go. He is literally, I would say from me, maybe not even 1 meter. Hello, boy. There's the side of the car. Are you curious about the back of our car? How cool is that? So epic. Every time I see a leopard that close, it just gets better. And you can see he's now going to sit right next to the car. Is that where you've decided you want to be? Hey, young man? Okay. You're welcome to be wherever you want. I think he might drink, so I'm just going to go forward. Sorry, VM. Let's just go forward here quickly. Sorry. I'm just going to try and get into a situation where we can get ourselves into a little bit of a better spot for him to drink, because he's in a little kind of thicket there. It's not a great place. I don't think there's much water for him, so he's looking and trying to kind of scan around. But there we go. How's that? That's pretty special. We kind of eye level with him as he's looking for water and trying to find a spot just to drink out of. That's absolutely perfect. How cool is that? That is so epic. So we chose a good spot to kind of position ourselves, I think. He's just kind of settling. But the problem is there's not much water there, unfortunately, so it's not the best place for him to drink. He needs to find maybe a little bit of a better spot, and then he'll be able to drink a lot better than that. How's this though? See, he's just looking at all these little puddles. Graham, you say he's so full, he's struggling to walk. Well, he is, isn't he? He's very full. So I wonder if after a drink he might lead us back to wherever he's been, and maybe we'll find a kill somewhere here that he's had and has been feeding on over the last little bit. That's what I'm hoping, at least. I think he's found himself a little bit of water now to drink. It's not the best place though. There's a much better place not far from where we are, behind us a little bit. So if he just walked and crossed this big open clearing, there's actually a nice little puddle behind that he could drink at a lot more effectively. The thing is that this water is probably very nice. It's seeping from the dam. This is seepage that's coming through the dam wall and out the back, and so the water is probably very clean from going through all of this sand and soil and substrate, and that means that it probably tastes a lot better than anything else. And we've seen things like twin dams at the moment, doesn't look great, and so these are probably a lot better places for him to try and drink from. Look, he's just figuring out a way to get out of the mud while he's sort of walking along, because there's one thing that a cat doesn't like is mud. And there we go, off we go again. I think he might find somewhere just to lie down. He's heading back to where that waterbuck was walking. There he goes, across a little eroded section, so behind the dam wall and in front of the car. And isn't that cool? It's just so epic. He's such a champion cat. I absolutely love spending time with this guy. He's just always so obliging to us, and I love how he just slowly ambles. He's really got nowhere to go. He's not a territorial individual yet. He doesn't have to worry about finding himself a place to go and scent mark or anything like that. He can just kind of stroll around and, well, go into a little drainage ditch if he wants to, and go and have a little look at a three-banded plover that's walking behind him as well. Are you going to chase the three-banded plover? Don't chase the three-banded plover. Don't be naughty. Leave the three-banded plover alone. At the end of the day, it doesn't need to be hunted. Maybe the little plover's got eggs. It's going to be interesting to see what the plover does, because the plover's almost staring in the face of danger. And look at his tail. His tail is twitching as though he wants to kind of go towards it, and we might see the little plover fly away shortly. Has it got a little insect in its mouth, or what is that? Seems as though it's got something. And there he comes. He's out now and sniffing around, obviously not too perturbed by this little plover behind it. wonder if he's smelling Hosanna or maybe another leopard around here. At the end of the day, there's some very kind of pungent scent maybe left behind by them. Hosanna's been spending lots of time here, and so maybe that's who he's picking up the scent. I hear his mom was found not far from where we are now, just north of us, and so maybe, just maybe, there's a situation where she might come down this way, so we'll just have to hold thumbs. But while we sit with Thamba, I believe Jamie is negotiating the Masai Mara darkness with her spotlight, and I wonder what little creatures are in store for her tonight as she waves about her spotlight for eyes.
Enjoying a really lovely scene with Thamba and him relaxing and having a drink, and I really miss him. I can imagine that he must be looking absolutely enormous now. The last time I saw him, he was all ears and all feet and bright green eyes. I definitely miss that little leopard. No, while you've been with Tristan, we've been searching for Scar. We haven't had any luck, I'm afraid. I think he must have gone wandering towards the river. That lioness that we were with, the reason that we didn't continue to follow her, just so that you know, is because she went across the boundary between the off-roading zone and the non-off-roading zone. So she went beyond our reach and away from where we could follow her. That's where she vanished off to. Oh, it's been an absolute joy getting to know the different animals in the Mara, and one of the things that we did do when we arrived was to approach the various researchers. And Graham, you're wondering if we share information of interesting sightings or strange behavior with researchers. We do. We absolutely do. When I was sitting with Imani, the female cheetah, a few days ago, I was actually chatting away to the lady who runs the Mara Cheetah project, and we were talking about Imani's curious behavior and having a good giggle. And I promised her that I will send her that footage when I have a moment to. So yes, we do, absolutely. And we, of course, in turn, pick their brains in terms of getting to know the various animals in a region, getting to understand, deepen our knowledge as well. And the Mara is it is the home of some really very solid research that goes on. The hyena project, the lady who runs it has been here researching hyenas for the last 30 years. So you can imagine it's a wealth of information that is out there. And it's really deep. I speak from a personal perspective. It's really deepened my understanding of the way that everything works. And it's something that I hope we will be able to do even more in the future. So yes, absolutely. They've all, Mara Lion Project, the hyenas, the cheetah ladies, they've all been fantastic to us. And the same applies, by the way, back in South Africa. So there is a database that's been put together by Panthera, which is a big cat organization, research organization, but it does a huge amount with other species as well. And after every sighting, bug in my eye, the interesting stuff that we've seen is recorded in the database even if it's not interesting behavior, even if it's just a sighting. I'm just trying to get this bug out. We record everything, the GPS coordinates get recorded, and we then pass that sightings data onto the research organization at the end of every month. Ow.
You need me to remove the eye?
Remove the eye? Thanks, Ferg. I appreciate the offer, but I think that might be a bit drastic at this point. Somewhere in my bag of tricks I've got eye drops for this exact reason, because the bugs at the moment are relatively... Oh, there's my wallet.
Yay.
Probably shouldn't leave that when I go on leave. Huh. Who'd have go? You see, it all worked out quite fortuitously. Okay, I'm going to try and wash this bug out of my eye. While we do, we'll send you across to Tayla, who fortunately, I believe, has 2 functioning good eyes. Ow. Yeah, it's fine.
For now. We all know that I have a history with getting bugs in my eye, so Jamie, I hope that you manage to get it out swiftly, because there's few things that are as unpleasant as a big beetle smacking you in the eye and then straight after a little midge getting in there. It's not very nice. But I'm sure I'll be joining you shortly because there's not a drive that goes by that I don't have any insects in my eyes. And also I'm now blind from the sun. I looked at it. Don't look at the sun. Very silly of me. So we're just checking for things. Now, Ridgely, you're wondering if there's any bees here. Well, no, not now. It's nighttime. So bees don't typically fly around at night unless they somehow managed to get attracted to a light and then didn't get home safely. But yeah, there are actually plenty of bees. I had a hive outside my room and I didn't mind it, but then those bees started getting a bit hectic and they were trying to get into my tent, and we decided the best thing to do would be to remove it. So we got bee removalists in. They came through, they took the hive away, and they didn't move it too far, a couple of kilometers away or so. A lot of the locals have beehives and things, so they just basically relocated the entire nest, which was really cool. So I'm sure that they're still around making lots and lots of honey. They're not going to bother me and sting anybody in camp. We've got a couple of people who are allergic to bees, so that's one of the reasons why we moved them, but they're so important to the ecosystem. They're beautiful little creatures. I like it when all the flowers are around and you get to see them. I don't like it when they fly near me, however, because they always sting me. Oh my goodness! Mr. Peeve just reminded me. It's Halloween, isn't it? And you were wondering, it is, eh? Is it the 30th? Yeah. It's the 30th today. And you were wondering if we celebrate Halloween. It's not huge in South Africa. There are definitely some people that do it. I think I went trick-or-treating. Oh, is it tomorrow, the 31st? Not today. What is that? It's a bone. Sorry, I thought this was a snake stand. Oh, reared up. No, so it's tomorrow, the 31st. Thank you, Megan. Yeah, so I didn't really. I think I went trick-or-treating twice growing up. My mom's not a fan of it. Spoils sport. So, but otherwise, I do all sorts of silly things. Last year, some of you may remember Halloween. Who remembers what I did for Halloween? If you remember what I did for Halloween, maybe you can share the pictures. I've just seen some eyes in the grass. But now, our only problem is I'm not really going to be able to do much about it because obviously we had a problem earlier where the camera fell apart. Now we haven't been able to put our infrared lights back on. It's trying to see. We haven't really got a spot that we can even climb up. It's quite far off the road. We're not going to see it with the camera, I'm afraid. I think it could be. It looks too big to be a serval. I think it might just be an antelope or something just sitting in the grass. So we will just leave it. So unfortunately we haven't got our infrared light back on. And I'm trying to drive as slowly as possible so the camera doesn't fall apart again. And it's either that, either we're going to have no camera or the car's going to stop working. One of the two. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Maybe it all happens at the same time. But it has not been a great day for me in terms of things breaking. I seem to just touch everything and then it falls apart. I don't know why. I have absolutely no idea why. So we're going to keep trying to find some animals around here that we can view with the spotlight, and hopefully we will. I'm going to send you back to South Africa. Thamba's had a drink of water and he's now on the move.
Well, he is moving, but before we do anything, earlier I showed you a very brave three-banded plover, and I've just found its nest with its eggs. So there the eggs are, just in this clump over here, very well camouflaged, and you can see them just there. So, no, to your left, Vim. There we go, in there. So you see two little round eggs? There they are. So incredibly well camouflaged, just like the little nest that it's built. You can see it's pushed little bits together, and it's laid its two eggs perfectly there. And that is why this little plover, or lapwing, plover, should I say, it's not a lapwing, is being so brave in the face of a leopard. And I'm surprised Thamba didn't pick it up, and I'm surprised also that, well, I'm glad that when we came in here that we missed that egg and that nest site, because it is almost impossible to see had it not been for the little bird going towards it. And there we go, look, she's going to sit on top of it, or he, whichever one, be male and female. And there we go, it's just going to get everything sorted out, make sure all the eggs are together. How cool is this? That is so special. We'll have to keep monitoring this little nest and check it day to day until we see the little lapwing chicks. It's going to be super cool to see this. This is honestly the first three-banded plover nest that I've seen. I don't know why I keep calling it a lapwing. I think it's just the plover lapwing name is getting into my brain a little bit, but it is a three-banded plover, not a lapwing. Please don't quote me on these things. I don't know why I'm saying them, but that is just so cool. And there we go. It's sitting on it and just kind of getting into the right place, just turning the eggs a little bit, making sure it warms them properly. Tony, you say you can't believe how nice that camouflage is for the eggs. Isn't it amazing? Isn't nature incredible? The way that this little bird knows what its eggs are going to look like and how to camouflage them and make sure that they are in a nest that is made up of a similar material to the color of her eggs is absolutely fascinating and completely amazing. I cannot believe actually how well she's managed to bring those sticks together. And if you look at the area around her, it looks like just little bits of driftwood. It doesn't look as though there's anything major here. It just looks like water has washed that all together, but that has most definitely been built. She has taken sticks and precariously placed them and put them in the right places in order to construct this beautiful little nest that is on the ground and to make it blend in as much as possible. That's the idea. She's trying to make it blend so that if a predator comes along, something like a mongoose, a monitor lizard, because remember she's going to have lots of those near water, she has a situation where she needs to walk away and move and nothing's going to be able to see it. So she has to construct something that looks just like the rest of the environment, and she's done an absolutely beautiful job and has made the most perfect little nest. So cool. Look at that camouflage. Mac, you're saying does she have hiccups? No, I think she's being as brave can be. I think she knows there's these big hulking vehicles, there's a leopard around, and so she's trying to protect her eggs and she's trying to kind of display in the hope that the attention will be drawn to her, and then if she can get up off the eggs, she can move off and be able to take our attention with it and we go with her. So that's what she's trying to do, or he, like I said, it's difficult to say whether it's a male or female. They are identical at the end of the day, but I would imagine it's a female, and that's what, so the head bobbing is just to be able to kind of draw attention. And I'm really surprised that it's come and lay on its eggs when we're so close. I mean, there's two vehicles around this nest and she's in no way bothered by us at all. I suppose it's getting to that time of the night where she has to start trying to protect them and warm them and make sure that she keeps them, sort of nice and warm and an optimal temperature, that the sun has gone down now. So that's maybe why she's fighting fear in order to sit on them. Now, Kaylin, you're asking what are the advantages to nesting on the ground? Well, some birds are just not built to be in trees. They're not designed. This is a bird that spends all its life wading through the shallows of water, and so it doesn't have a foot structure in order to perch on a tree, and therefore building a nest in a tree is going to be pretty difficult because it's not going to be able to really grip to be able to build very well. So it's a water bird. It's designed to be near water, and generally near water means not too much cover, and so they have to work on other ways to be able to be successful, and so they build nests like this that are all camouflaged. Now, the advantage of doing that, it's interesting. I don't know if there is many advantages to being on the ground. At the end of the day, she's got a lot more problems than a bird that nests in a tree. She's got to deal with not only all kinds of predators, but vehicles like us driving around, and I mean, you would never know. If this bird was not sitting right there, you would have no idea that there are eggs there, firstly. Secondly, that the situation that she's got to deal with elephants and waterbuck and impalas and all these other animals that walk around here that might squash the eggs in some way, and so there's not really too many advantages, to be honest, other than the fact that she just has the most incredible camouflage for eggs. And that's why you find any bird that nests on the ground, their eggs are perfect for the environment that they spend time in. So you'll find perfectly colored eggs, whereas a lot of the other birds that are tree nesters, their eggs tend to be quite brightly colored. So something like an arrowmark babbler will have a bright sort of powder blue colored egg, whereas these ones are these absolutely perfectly colored gray eggs. Now the thing is that I can't move now that this other vehicle's moved. I can't go anywhere to show you Thamba, because at the end of the day he's behind me over there. You can see him just tucked in a little thicket. He's just watching and is completely non-phased by a little plover and its eggs. He's watching something else and is looking down the other way, and so I can't really go anywhere, and also don't want to drive anywhere near this bird. I want it to settle down and to spend its time where it is. So I think I'm just going to reverse back slightly and hope that this little bird doesn't move But that is one of the most coolest finds, and like I say, it's something that we can follow. That's the nice thing about this, is it's something that we can develop into a little story, the trials and tribulations of a little plover. Now it's off its nest again, so I just want to get one last look. I know it's not ideal for it to be off its nest, but one last look at those eggs and just how well they blend in with the environment. Look at that. Is that not amazing? I find that absolutely unbelievable. I think it's incredible that nature has a design on an egg that matches the rest. Right, while I marvel at this little plover and her bravery and her cleverness to be able to build something as intricate as that to camouflage her eggs, let's go back across to Jamie Patterson, who's got her spotlight out still and hasn't had much luck yet.
So you'll be all very relieved, I'm sure, and able to breathe easier that my eye is absolutely fine. It's a little scratchy, but all is well, and it comes as a price that we pay for holding up a large light in our hands in front of our faces, and then complete with the light that's behind me so that you can actually see me chatting to you. The combination is a special one for attracting all sorts of insects. Luckily we like insects, and we're not bothered by it. Unfortunately, the search for Scar failed, but we do have a question from Snazzy, which is a great name. Snazzy, I don't know how much longer Scar will live. He is an older lion, and he has been injured many times in the past. Apparently he's limping quite badly at the moment. The last few times I've seen him, he's been looking a little thin. Not definitely not in any dire straits, but he has been looking a little thin. I don't know. And of course, there's two different approaches between the Kenyan and the South African approach to conservation, and especially for a lion like Scar, who's garnered so much public attention. When he is injured, he often receives veterinary attention almost immediately, and of course he's around these areas where people visit a lot. It's an area that's very popular within the Mara Triangle, and as a result he gets noticed, and he does get treated. So I don't know. I would say that he is getting old. He is reaching the end of his life, but it could be anywhere from the next 6 months to the next 2-3 years. It's impossible for me to really predict, and it would be a very silly thing for me to do, to actually predict when I think he's going to eventually leave the Mara. The other thing is, of course, remember that this is such a massive open ecosystem that we don't know exactly what young males are about, where they might, for example, young males could disperse from the conservancies. So we don't know what's coming his way, and we don't know what challenge he's going to face. But the fact that there's 4 of them within that coalition, known as the Musketeers, just because, confusion. So the lion musketeers as opposed to the cheetah musketeers. Now, there's 4 of them, and the rest of the other 3 males are also very strong and healthy and fit males. So I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. I also haven't spent very much time with him, to be honest. A lot of the time he's across the river. Oh, I thought somebody was coming up behind me. Which should be unusual, because we're actually the only people out at this time of day. Would be very Halloweenish. Would be very appropriate. I feel quite sad I'm missing out on all of the Halloween festivities tomorrow. Oh well. I'll have to send my dog a happy birthday wish as well. Yes, I will. Alright, as we go off into the darkness searching with our spotlight, Tayla's doing something very similar. I don't know where she is, but let's see if she's managed to spot you anything.
We have, but it's about to disappear. We have a Serval. Go, Serval, go. It's a very skittish one. We'll see if we can get another view. Yeah, I think we might. I'm just going to give it a little bit of room and see if it will go. I see, unfortunately, the sighting would be a lot better, and I think that the Serval would... I thought there were 2 for a second, but it was just the eyes that were moving. The Serval would be a lot more relaxed, I reckon, if we didn't have the spotlight on it. It's a little bit nervous, but, I mean, it's a small cat. It's right down quite low on the predator hierarchy, so it's better that it does stay hidden. So we won't stay for long. I'll just try and get us one more view, because they're just so beautiful, and they are very pretty, of course, when we have the spotlight on them, because their colors are just unbelievable. It's hiding in this grass now. Let's see if he's going to come out. Let me just go here. I'm trying to keep a bit of distance, but then we also, of course, struggle though. It's hiding. It's in there. You can just see the reflection. A little bit to the right. There you go. It's going to move. You've got it. It is there. It's basically straight in. There we go. Can you see its ear? That's incredible. I hope that you can spot that. That's not a scrub hair, by the way. Those big ears belong to the serval. Just hiding the grass. You can see it's just moving. This is incredible. I mean, you would walk right past this cat. If you didn't have a spotlight, or you didn't see it where it was, I'd have no idea that it was here. It's completely hidden. So that's what they do. And they do feel a little bit nervous, and you can see I have lifted the light over quite a bit, so the main part of the beam is not striking it directly. You never want that to happen anyway when you're viewing animals with a spotlight. You just want to put a little bit on them. But when they do feel threatened, we know that they've got the most amazing camouflage, and they'll just sit right down on the grass and sit very, very still. There it goes, there it goes. Slinking away. Well, it can't be too nervous. It's stopping and grooming itself every now and then. Very leopard-like, though, the way it creeps on the ground. It'll be out looking for all sorts of things to eat tonight. There's so many rodents around here. I can't tell you how many little mice and rats and things I've already seen running across the road. So hopefully this serval cat is successful and manages to catch something a little bit later. But always very, very nice to see. And I wonder... I don't think Sebastian got to see serval before he leaves. I know he leaves tomorrow from the Mara. That's a bit sad. And I've been lucky the last couple of evenings in a row now. I've had serval. Wow, what a nice surprise. Okay, now I'm going to try and get out of here without falling into a hole. Oh, I'm in low range. Whew. Goodness, I almost shot off like a rocket. That was very, very cool. Hey, how nice is that? Because I was a little bit sad. So I just need to have a talking to this car. Sometimes it doesn't behave. Actually, it's still there. Let's see if we can get another. Bumpy. Sorry. I hope the camera doesn't break again and fall apart. Jar just shouts if it does. If it collapses, let me know. We'll get one last view, and then I'll let the serval go. No, we're not. It's running. It's run away from us. That's okay. We'll let it go. Bye, Serval. Thank you very much for showing up, though, to the party. Very, very nice. Maybe Jamie can get it on the way back if she comes this way, or she has to come this way. She might see it, and maybe she can try with the infrared. Jamie also absolutely loves servals, but it's hard not to love them, though, when you see those beautiful creatures. Wonderful. Well, we got lucky, didn't we? That was a nice surprise. I thought we were going to have a catless drive, but Serval saved the day. Let's jump back on board with my dear friend Tristan. He's sitting with Thamba, and he's got a nice close-up to show you.
We do. We have the best close-up possible. And he's having a little nap, and oh no, he's just closed his eye. I was hoping he was going to stay the way he was, because VM had framed up his eye beautifully as he was staring off into the distance. He's just moved himself a little bit and is now settled on top of one of the little shelves that we have around here. There's his head up again, so he might look in this direction. Hopefully he does, because he's got these beautiful big blue eyes that were looking, or green eyes should I say, that were looking straight at us at one point. And VM was just getting the most ridiculous close-up. You could actually even see a little kind of thing dangling. I didn't know if it was a fly at first. We thought it was a fly kind of flying around his eye, but it was actually something hanging off his whisker, and it was right in the sort of around the eye, and you could actually see the shadow on the eye itself, and it was just pretty much a full frame of just one of his eyes, which was very cool. So hopefully he will decide to look in our direction again, and we'll be able to get another little view. But I think what he's done is he's put his paw there, and now he can kind of balance his head on his paw and have a little relax as the night sets in. At the end of the day, it's now time for him to have a really good nap. It's not quite dark just yet, but he's had a little drink, he's had a little wander around. I think if we come here tomorrow, we should be able to find Thamba. I don't think he's going to go far, unless another leopard comes through here, in which case it might be a bit different. But there you go, there's a unique view into a leopard's ear. You can see the little tunnel where it goes down and the canals into the inner ear, and how that hair funnels the sound deeper into the ear, and so that it can hear better. So Really nice, unique look into a leopard's ear as well. We're always at different angles, and being a little bit lower, sometimes you get to see things. You can see how it turns and adjusts for him to be able to hear a little bit better. I think he's just trying to get himself a bit more comfy. I don't think he's chosen the best spot. Shame, boy, is it uncomfy up there. But there you can see he's kind of resting on his paw and just really having a perfect little nap. That's absolutely amazing. Now, there are a whole host of vehicles that are wanting to come to the sighting, so ultimately I am going to have to leave him in the next few minutes. I don't think we're going to be able to stay much longer. It's all the guys that are returning back to their lodges, and particularly Chitwa. So there's 3 vehicles that want to come here, and ultimately we've spent a lot of time with Thamba this afternoon, and we've kept another number of people at bay. So I think we're going to take one last look at him, and then we're going to just move off and leave the rest of the guys to come in and make their way towards the sighting. Wonderful. But tomorrow morning, I think this is one of the first places I'm going to start, because at the end of the day, I don't see Thamba moving much at all. I think if we're clever about what we do tomorrow and we come and check carefully around here, I think we might find him sitting in a very similar area. He's a leopard that doesn't seem to move a lot, as I was referring to earlier in the drive, and so I'm pretty sure that if we go and we head into that area, we should be able to find him again, or this area. I don't know why I said that area, but we should be able to find him. Right, while I start heading back home and heading back towards, well, the center of Djuma and away from Chitwa, let's go back across to Jamie and see if that spotlight has found anything yet, and hopefully it will soon.
Searching for, well, anything that we can find you, but unfortunately we haven't had much luck. But I just wanted, on my last drive for now, I probably, depending on what happens, I'm probably not going to be seeing you for another 2 weeks, unless something changes tomorrow morning. But in theory, I won't be seeing you for 2 weeks. So it's, as always, been a lovely work cycle. We'll be back in the Mara after our trip to Uganda, which will be shared with Rebecca and with Batman as well. Not the actual Batman, Craig the Batman. So we're very, very excited. Hopefully I come back with lots of stories to tell you about the different birds and creatures that we see there, especially at the backpackers and on the island we're staying at. I'm sure we're going to find and observe all sorts of interesting things. But it has been wonderful, and I just wanted to thank you for now. I'm not going permanently, just to avert panic that often happens. I'm just going on leave. I'm just going on holiday. A bit of rest, a bit of relaxation, a huge amount of fast food. It's going to be my plan over the next 4 days in Nairobi. A lot of fast food. As much as I can possibly get my hands on. It's weird when you can't have something, you kind of want it. Much at all. Okay, well, if it's all right with Megan, I think that pretty much concludes our Mara portion of this evening's sunset safari. Oh, okay. Changed my mind. All right, we're going to be saying farewell to you for this evening. I'll catch up with you in 2 weeks' time. I hope you have a wonderful time. We're going to send you back over to Tristan so that he can finish off the sunset safari.
Well, indeed, it's time to say goodbye. Unfortunately, we don't have much time left at all. I've just come out of where Thamba is, and so I'm going to stop here so that I can give you my undivided attention as we start to head home. I just don't want to stop too low down in case a signal goes, although what am I worried about? There is now a big kind of tower behind me that has got all kinds of equipment that allows me to be able to speak to all of you from here. It's gone are the days where this used to be a dodgy signal area, and happiness that it was like that, because otherwise we wouldn't have had the magical sighting that we had of Thamba this afternoon. It would have been a no-go zone for us a few months ago. So it's a wonderful addition to have Chitwa, and it's such a great place at this time of the year when it's dry and there's not much going on. So it's been an epic day. We've had some crazy cool little things happening today, lots of interesting little stuff, as well as the beautiful Thamba, and in the Mara seems as though lots has happened. So from myself, Tayla, Jamie, all the cam ops, and Megan, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you tomorrow on the Sunrise Safari.